Let's learn some practical tips to add negative as well as positive numbers. The first one is this. When you add positive numbers, the answer is positive. This is quite simple. Let's take an example. 10 plus 5. 10 plus 5 means positive 10 plus positive 5. The answer is 15, which is also positive. What if there are more than two numbers? Let's take an example. 10 plus 5 plus 7. That means positive 10 plus positive 5 plus positive 7. 10 plus 5 is 15. 15 plus 7 is 22. So the answer is 22, which is a positive number. This is quite simple, and you have been adding positive numbers before you learn about negative numbers, so you know that the answer was always positive. The next one is when you add negative numbers, the answer is negative. Let's take an example. Negative 10 plus negative 5. Now, negative 10 means you face left and take 10 steps, so you reach here. The next number is also negative, so you continue to face left, and it is negative 5, so you go 5 steps forward, you reach here. The answer is negative 15, so the answer is negative. So this rule is correct. What if there are more than two numbers? Let's take an example. Negative 10 plus negative 5 plus negative 7. We've already done the addition of negative 10 and negative 5. We reached here up to negative 15. Let's add the third number, which is negative 7. So you continue to face left and go 7 steps forward, so you reach here, which is negative 22. Again, the answer is negative, so this rule is correct. But if you look at the two examples that we saw just now, what do you see? You can see that if you ignore the signs, the numbers are just like regular additions, just like additions of any positive numbers. That means if you think that the signs are not there, the negative signs are not there, then it is 10 plus 5 equals 15 and 10 plus 5 plus 7 equals 22. So what you can do is, when you are adding negative numbers, when all the numbers that you are adding are negative, ignore the sign, add the numbers, and in the end you put a negative sign for that answer. That means in the first case, just add 10 and 5. So the addition is 15, and once you do the addition, then write negative sign before 15. Similarly, for 10, 5 and 7, add these three numbers, ignore the sign and add these three numbers. So the addition is 22. After you finish the addition, you just write negative sign for that answer and write the answer as negative 22. So if the numbers you are adding, if all those numbers are negative, then you can do this. What if one number is positive and one number is negative? In that case, what we do is we ignore the signs and subtract, and then the answer will have the sign of the bigger number. What does this mean? Let's take an example and check that out. 15 plus negative 5. So what we are going to do is we are going to ignore the signs. That means ignore that 15 is a positive number and 5 is a negative number. Just look at 15 and 5 and subtract. Subtract means subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. Subtract 5 from 15. When I am saying smaller and bigger, I mean the numbers without the sign. That means between 15 and 5, 15 is bigger, so subtract 5 from 15, you get 10. Now the sign of 10 will be decided based on which number is bigger without the sign. Without the sign, which number is bigger? 15 is bigger. So the sign of the answer is positive, so the answer is positive 10. Is this answer correct? You can check on the number line. The first number is 15, so you go right, reach 15. The second number is negative, so you turn left, and it is negative 5, so you walk forward 5 steps, you reach here. The answer is 10. That means this is correct. Let's take one more example. Negative 15 plus 10. That means negative 15 plus positive 10. 10 means positive 10. Now what are we going to do? We are going to ignore the signs and look at the numbers. That means the numbers we have now are 15 and 10. Now subtract 10 from 15. That means the answer of the subtraction is 5. Now this answer is going to have the sign of the bigger number. The bigger number without the sign. Without the sign, between 15 and 10, 15 was the bigger number. And the sign of 15 is negative. That means the sign of our answer is also negative. So the answer is -5. If you want to check this out on the number line, you can check this. The first number is -15. So you walk left 15 steps, you reach here. The next number is +10. So you turn around, face right, walk 10 steps, you reach here at -5. So your answer is -5. So every time you don't have to use the number line. This is how you can add one positive and one negative number. What you can do is ignore the signs, subtract the smaller number from the bigger number. Whatever is the answer of the subtraction, for that answer, give the sign of the bigger number. The next one is quite easy. You can add numbers in any order. You know that 10 plus 5 is also 15 and 5 plus 10 is also 15. So it doesn't matter what the order is, you can add the numbers in any order. Let's take an example of negative numbers. -10 plus -5 is -15. We know how to add this. Ignore the signs and add the numbers. So 10 plus 5 is 15 and the answer takes the negative sign. Similarly, -5 plus -10 is also -15 because again you are going to ignore the signs, add 5 and 10, 5 and 10 equals 15 and the answer takes the negative sign. So you can order numbers in any order when you are adding the numbers. What happens when there are a lot of numbers to add? In that case, you can rearrange the numbers to group all the positive numbers and all the negative numbers together. Let's take an example and check this out. -10 plus +7 plus +15 plus -2. Now we already know that we can add the numbers in any order. So it is okay to change the order of the numbers. So let's group all the positive numbers and all the negative numbers together. So let me write it down like this. -10 plus -2 plus +7 plus +15. I have written all the negative numbers first, followed by the positive numbers. So let's first add the negative numbers. That means let's add -10 and -2. We know how to add. Ignore the sign. 10 plus 2 is 12. And then give negative sign to the answer. That means the answer is -12. In case of 15 and 7, add 15 to 7. The answer is 22, +22. Now what we have to add is -12 and +22. We know how to add one negative and one positive number. How do we do that? We ignore the signs. So now we have 12 and 22. Subtract 12 from 22. So the answer is 10. Between 12 and 22, 22 is a bigger number. So the answer will take the sign of 22. The sign of 22 is positive. That means your answer is +10. Now this problem is sometimes written without any parenthesis. Like this. -10 plus 7 plus 15 minus 2. Even if they haven't written the parenthesis, it means the same thing. Whether there are parentheses or not, you solve it in the same way. You know that adding -2 is same as subtracting 2. That's why this problem without parenthesis looks like this. It doesn't matter whether parentheses are there or not. You can still solve it in the same way. You group together the negative numbers and the positive numbers and proceed as we did before. Let's take one more example. +6 plus -12 plus +10 plus -8. Let's write down all the positive numbers followed by all the negative numbers. +6 plus +10 plus -12 plus -8. Let's add the positive numbers. 6 plus 10 equals 16. Now we add the negative numbers, -12 and -8. 12 plus 8 equals 20. We have ignored the signs and added 12 and 8, so we got 20. The answer will take the negative sign. That means we have +16 plus -20. Here is the case of one positive and one negative number. Subtract smaller number from the bigger number. So 20 minus 16 is 4. And between 16 and 20, the bigger number is 20. The sign of 20 is negative. That means our answer is -4. Again, this problem could have been written like this without any parenthesis. 6 minus 12 plus 10 minus 8. Even if the parentheses are not there, you will solve it in the same way. You know that adding -12 is same as subtracting 12 and adding -8 is same as subtracting 8. That's why the problem you solved and the problem I have written just now without parentheses is the same problem. So these are some practical tips you've learned about adding numbers. You know how to add when all the numbers are positive, how to add when all the numbers are negative, how to add when one is positive and one is negative, and you need to rearrange the numbers to group positive and negative numbers together when you are adding lot of positive and negative numbers together.